Hello, welcome back to the RC Pilot's log. This is part 5 of my Douglas DC-3 / C47 build out of Depron foam and some balsa with a fiberglass skin. I am just starting work on the horizontal stabiliser. I've cut out a paper template from the plans and I've transferred that to 4 pieces of 3mm Depron to give me a 12mm thickness, which I will glue together, put in a spar and sand to fit, sand to shape and profile. I've removed the last 3 ribs on the tail because they were in the way of the stabiliser, and I will recreate half of those profiles to fit. I'm going to create a spar to sit through the 2 middle sections, so a 6mm spar that tapers down to the tip, and that will go all the way through the fuselage, just behind this vertical spar to the other side. So I'm going to make one stabiliser first, get that all sorted, get the process dialed, mount that onto the fuselage, and then I will have a spar on the other side that I can build the wing around, the horizontal stabiliser around. So I'm going to get on with that. I think the first thing I need to do now that I've cut these out is set up, establish my spar. Okay, so I've cut slots in each of the sections of the stabiliser for the spar to slot in, and obviously the top one, because the spar is tapered, doesn't sit flush with the top. I'll keep it flush with the bottom, and then sand to fit the top, and round the leading and trailing edges to make a nice airfoil. But it's all got to be glued together first. I'm going to glue the foam together with UHU POR, and then I'll epoxy in the spar into the foam. So that's all nicely glued together now. It's already quite solid, and I've cut a slot behind the vertical stabiliser reinforcement, and this spar will slide through it. It's a nice tight fit. And it will lock into place there, and should perform a good job of keeping that stable and strong. She needs a fair amount of profiling and sanding, and needs lining, getting the alignment right, but the line you can see, diagonal line you can see there, is where the body will, the rest of the fuselage will cover, and it's nicely scalloped in there to make it a nice smooth transition. So while that filler's drying, you can see that the lower half of the wing is nicely glassed now. It's very strong. You can see I'm holding it by one wingtip, and there's very strong. Really pleased with that. And that's only a single layer, so I may do a second layer just on the underside because the load is pushing up against the dihedral here. So I'd rather have something in the glass in tension on the underside, folding up, rather than compression on there. So I'm going to use that weight and just reinforce some there underneath with another layer of fiberglass, and get it held in tension there. Still a few little bits left to do. I need to clear out around the servos and just cut around just so they can get to the full throw. And I need to clean up around the flaps. I didn't get resin on them this time on a top tip. I used a little bit of light oil on the plastic hinges and it stops the resin sticking. So again, thank you to someone on Instagram who reminded me of that. I need to obviously rehinge the ailerons and go from there. But this is still very slightly tacky in places, so I'm going to leave that overnight before I do any more work on it. But that's come out rather nice. Very, very pleased. Probably the nicest wing I've ever built, nicest finish to it already, most precise, and probably the strongest as well. But it's a good weight to it. In fact, I'm going to weigh it now and we'll know exactly how much it weighs. So, popped it on the scales, zeroed the scales with the stand on it, and we're looking 634 grams. I think that's pretty good, considering there's glass top and bottom. We've got the motors and ESCs on there, we've got all the wiring, a couple of, an XT60 connector to go on, and the ailerons. So that should come in well under, it should come in under 700 grams, I'd imagine, with the ailerons. And I think that's good. That's the bulk of the plane there. Whoa! Okay, so things have progressed a little bit more off camera. I needed to start speeding things up because we're already on episode 5 and it could go on a long time if I just stopped to film everything. So hopefully there's enough fast motion stuff in there that you get the idea of what I've done and how I've done it. But you can see I have planked part of the fuselage to get an idea how to do it, and what I'm doing with that. And I have assembled the tail feathers, and the bird is looking great. I'm really impressed. I really like the size of it. It's really nice size, nice and portable. I'll take it. Won't have to disassemble it. I mean, I can't now because it's glued together and glassed, but it makes for a more solid bird, I think, and I'm really, really pleased. The whole shapes come together nicely. It's balanced, seeming to balance quite well at about 30% so far. There's obviously considerations that it's not complete, so I need to bear that in mind. But I think with a 3-cell battery up the front, it's going to balance out quite nicely. The tail feathers are on. I haven't cut the elevators yet. I will be cutting those shortly, and positioning the elevator servo on this side of the fuselage. I've got the rudder on the left hand side if you're looking to the front of the plane, and the elevator I'll put on the right hand side, keeping them fairly central to the wing, kind of over the CG or just aft of it. Should help me balance it out later on. Have had a few questions about the thrust angle. The plans call for a 3-degree down thrust, out thrust, down and out thrust, and I've used a small prop spacer, the little spacers that you get with a new prop to fit round different motor output shafts. I've used one of those just behind the top left mounting screw as you look at it, so that will give me the down thrust and the out thrust. Whether it's 3 degrees or not, I don't know, but I have down and out on both sides, and it's a little plastic spacer, so if I need to I can sand a bit off that or remove it completely depending on how it flies. And I think I will test fly it without any nacelles on. That way if I need to change the motors or change the thrust angle and things like that, I can do so relatively easy without damaging anything. So for now I'm going to carry on. What am I going to do now? I think I will look at cutting the elevators and installing the elevator servo, and that will probably wrap it up for this episode, and then hopefully by the next one we'll be cracking on with planking it, cutting an access hatch at the front, and getting it all ready to be finally glassed. And I've waffled on for 3 minutes now, so let's get to some building.